The Romano family name was synonymous with power, wealth, and influence. Their business empire stretched across industries, from real estate to high-end restaurants, luxury casinos, and even shipping. From the outside, they seemed like a picture-perfect dynasty, a family that had built their empire through hard work, perseverance, and intelligence. But behind the gilded doors of their sprawling estate lay a labyrinth of secrets, betrayals, and crime that had kept them on top for generations. Matteo Romano had always known his family was different. He grew up in a mansion adorned with chandeliers, marble floors, and priceless artwork. His father, Antonio Romano, was a feared and respected businessman, known for making deals that were impossible to refuse. But Matteo, now in his early 30s, had recently begun to suspect that their empire was built on more than just legitimate business dealings. He had grown up shielded from the darker side of the family's operations, but whispers of extortion, racketeering, and disappearances surrounded their name. Matteo had always turned a blind eye, preferring to focus on expanding the family's legitimate holdings. But when a journalist, Sophia Carter, started investigating the Romano Empire, things took a dangerous turn. Sophia had spent months digging into the Romano family's past. She had uncovered inconsistencies in financial records, former employees who spoke in hushed tones about threats and violence, and a string of businesses that seemed to be fronts for illegal activities. But the most damning revelation was the sudden disappearance of Antonio Romano's former business partner, Leo Santini, 20 years ago. Leo had been Antonio's right-hand man until he vanished without a trace. The official story was that he had taken off to South America with stolen money, but Sophia found evidence that suggested otherwise. A retired police detective, now in hiding, hinted that Leo had been silenced by someone close to the Romanos. Sophia's relentless pursuit of the truth soon put her in the family's crosshairs. One evening, Matteo received an unmarked envelope at his penthouse. Inside was a single photograph, Sophia walking near her apartment, with a red X drawn over her face. Matteo knew exactly what it meant. His father had sent warnings like this before, to people who got too close to the truth. Matteo felt an uneasy sickness growing inside him. He had always suspected his father was involved in something sinister, but he had never seen the proof up close. Now, he had to make a choice: protect the family legacy, or betray everything he had ever known. That night, he called Sophia. "You need to stop investigating my family," he warned. "I'm too close to the truth, aren't I?" she replied. "That's why they want me gone." Matteo hesitated. "If you don't back off, they'll make sure you disappear." Instead of fear, he heard defiance in her voice. "Then maybe you should help me expose them." Matteo knew that if he sided with Sophia, he would be declaring war on his own blood. He wrestled with the decision for days, knowing his father would stop at nothing to protect their empire. But Matteo had seen enough. He had watched loyal men disappear, former associates turn up dead, and businesses crumble when they refused to play by the Romano family's rules. He was tired of living in the shadow of his father's crimes. Late one night, he met Sophia in secret and handed her a ledger, one that detailed payments, bribes, and records of criminal activities spanning decades. "This is everything," he whispered. "But if my father finds out, we're both dead." Sophia's hands trembled as she took the book. "I promise, Matteo. This will be the beginning of the end for them." Within days, the first wave of arrests came. The FBI, armed with the evidence Matteo had provided, raided key Romano properties. Antonio Romano was nowhere to be found, but his lieutenants were rounded up. The once mighty empire began to crumble, its secrets laid bare for the world to see. But Matteo knew it wasn't over. His father had evaded justice for decades, and he wouldn't go down without a fight. One night, as Matteo sat in his penthouse, a call came in. It was from a block number. You betrayed your own blood, Antonio's voice growled. You think this is over? Matteo clenched his jaw. I'm not afraid of you anymore. His father let out a low, menacing chuckle. Then you're a fool. The line went dead. Matteo knew what was coming. He was no longer a member of the family, he was a target. He packed a bag, knowing he couldn't stay in the city. But before he could leave, the sound of breaking glass shattered the silence. He turned to see two masked men entering his penthouse. They came for him with knives and silenced guns. But Matteo had been preparing. He fought back, using the gun he had hidden beneath his desk. The fight was brutal, quick, and deadly. By the end, two men lay lifeless on the floor. Matteo didn't need to check their IDs to know who had sent them. He picked up his phone and called Sophia. I need to disappear. I know a place, she said. But we have to leave now. Matteo and Sophia vanished into the night, leaving behind a city that now knew the truth about the Romano family. Antonio was still out there, waiting for his chance to strike back. As Matteo looked out at the unfamiliar city skyline of his new hiding place, he knew that as long as his father lived, he would never truly be free. The war wasn't over. It had only just begun. Far away, in the shadows of an undisclosed location, Antonio Romano poured himself a drink and turned to a man standing in the doorway. Find him, he said, his voice cold and unforgiving. And bring him back. Alive. Matteo Romano had barely been in hiding for a week when he felt the first sign of his father's reach. A coded message, tucked beneath his hotel room door, read, "You can run, but blood calls to blood." Sophia Carter sat across from him in the dimly lit cafe, her eyes scanning the street. He knows you're alive, Matteo. He won't stop. Matteo clenched his fists. Then we take the fight to him. With Antonio's network closing in, Matteo and Sophia sought help from an unexpected source, Marco Santini, the son of Leo Santini, Antonio's former business partner who had vanished under mysterious circumstances. Marco had spent years gathering evidence against Antonio, waiting for the right moment to strike. You're either brave or suicidal coming to me, Marco said, arms crossed. Your father murdered mine. And now you want my help? Matteo met his gaze. I want justice. And I know you do too. After a long silence, Marco slid a file across the table. This will help. But it's only the beginning. Using Marco's intel, they set a trap for one of Antonio's top lieutenants, Vincent Morelli, a ruthless enforcer. Morelli was scheduled to collect a shipment at the docks, and Matteo planned to use him as leverage. The night of the operation, gunfire erupted as Matteo and Marco ambushed Morelli's men. Chaos ensued, and when the dust settled, Morelli was in their custody, tied to a chair in a warehouse. You think you can outsmart Antonio? Morelli sneered. He's always 10 steps ahead. You're already dead. Matteo leaned in. Then why hasn't he found me yet? Morelli's smirk faltered. As the days passed, Sophia worked tirelessly to decrypt Morelli's confiscated burner phone. When she finally cracked it, the messages revealed Antonio's next move. He was orchestrating a high-profile assassination to silence a federal witness who had flipped on the Romano family. Matteo knew stopping the hit wouldn't just save a life, it would cripple his father's control over the city. We need to act now, he told Sophia and Marco. Before he silences everyone. The meeting was set in a secluded estate outside the city. Antonio's men arrived in black SUVs, but Matteo and Marco had already infiltrated the compound. The firefight was inevitable. Bullets shattered windows, men fell one by one, and Antonio emerged from the chaos like a ghost from Matteo's past. You think you've won? Antonio growled, pointing a gun at Matteo. You're still my son. You can never escape me. Matteo, gripping his own gun, hesitated. Despite everything, Antonio was still his father. But then he saw Marco's expression. This wasn't just his war anymore. Matteo pulled the trigger. Antonio collapsed, blood pooling around him. His reign was over. Weeks later, as Matteo and Sophia watched the Romano Empire crumble from afar, a call came through. It was from an unknown number. "You killed the king," a voice whispered. "But the game isn't over." Matteo's heart pounded. There was still one enemy left in the shadows. The battle wasn't over. Matteo Romano thought killing his father would end the nightmare. But as he stood in the wreckage of Antonio's empire, a final secret threatened to consume him. The mysterious phone call had come from someone who knew everything, someone who had been watching all along. A single text followed: "The truth will destroy you. Meet me where it all began." Matteo's blood ran cold. There was only one place that could mean: the abandoned Romano estate, where he had spent his childhood. He had no choice but to go. The mansion loomed in the darkness, its once pristine gardens overgrown and wild. Inside, dust-covered portraits of the Romano family lined the walls. Matteo moved cautiously, his gun drawn, until he reached his father's old study. A figure stood in the shadows. As they stepped into the dim light, Matteo's breath caught in his throat. It was his mother. "You were never supposed to know," she whispered, her eyes filled with sorrow. Matteo had been told his mother, Isabella Romano, died in a car accident when he was a child. But she was very much alive, and the truth she carried was more horrifying than Matteo had imagined. "Antonio didn't just kill his enemies, he killed those closest to him," she said. "Leo Santini didn't disappear. He was your real father." The room spun. Matteo staggered back, his stomach twisting into knots. "That's not possible." "Antonio found out about the affair," Isabella continued. "He murdered Leo and made me watch. Then he threatened to kill you if I ever spoke the truth. He kept me locked away all these years. But when you betrayed him, he knew his time was up." Matteo's hands trembled. The man he had spent his life trying to impress, the man he had feared and finally killed, wasn't his father at all. A slow clap echoed through the study. From the doorway, Marco Santini stepped forward, gun in hand. "Now you understand," Marco said. "Your father killed mine. And you killed yours. That makes us even." Matteo exhaled shakily. "We're not even, Marco. This ends now." Marco raised his gun, but Matteo was faster. A single shot rang out, and Marco collapsed, blood spreading across the dusty floor. Isabella gasped. "It's over, Matteo." Matteo wasn't sure. His entire life had been a lie. He had avenged a man who had never been his father, destroyed a family that was never truly his. As the first hints of dawn seeped through the mansion's broken windows, Matteo made a decision. He would disappear, leave the Romano name behind, and start over. For the first time, he was free. Weeks later, Sophia Carter read the headlines: "Romano Empire Falls, Last Heir Missing." She stared at her phone, waiting for a call that would never come. Far away, under a new name, Matteo Romano walked into the unknown, ready to leave the bloodshed behind. Or so he thought.